How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome to a combined 11 for you guys. Me and Sim are going to try and make a combined 11 for all the teams outside of the top six. So the teams that we're missing out is Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United, Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool. So any other player from any other team can make it into this combined 11. We're going to go for 4-3-3 formation and see where we go. So I guess let's start off with the goalkeeper. One of the only differences between our teams. I'm going to put forward, it was a toss-up between Martinez and Leno for me, and I'm going to put forward Bernd Leno.
Really? Toss-up between those two? So no English keepers in there for you?
No.
Not even considering?
No.
I've gone for Jordan Pickford.
Pickford, really?
Yeah, I've gone for Jordan Pickford as my pick. I think he's a good keeper. I think he's underrated. And I know he gets clowned on a bit because there was that thing that who said it, Courtois said he's a bit short or whatnot. But I think in the last 18 months, I think he did have a bit of a rough time of it at a club level. But I think the last 18 months, he's been really good for both club and country. I don't think there's a reason why he's still number one for England. I think he's pretty much never let England down. And I think for Everton, I think last season he was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely brilliant for Everton last season. I think he's also, out of all the keepers, he's probably the best with the ball at his feet as well in terms of playing out his ability to play long passes and playing out the back. Maybe some other keepers you mentioned have other strengths, but I just think as an all-round keeper, I went for Pickford.
I think if I'm choosing a team out, that's exactly what we're doing. But yeah. I mean, I think Bernd Leno should get the shirt here for our combined 11. I think that as an all-round keeper, I think he's better than Jordan Pickford. I think his coming for crosses is brilliant. His shot stopping is brilliant. I do think Pickford probably is better than with the ball at his feet. But I just feel like when you take the whole package combined for Leno against Pickford, I just think Leno's a better goalkeeper than him, to be honest. And I think he's performed really well so far this season for Fulham. Last season, I thought he performed again really well in a Fulham shirt. And even before that, I know he got sold off the back of the form he was showing for Arsenal, but I just thought that even like at the top of his game for Arsenal, he did look like a really top keeper. So I think Leno is massively underrated in the Premier League.
I think he's a good keeper, but I actually think Pickford's better than him. I think Pickford has better. I think Pickford just about has better reflexes. I think Leno's probably better when it comes to like coming for crosses and things like that. I think Pickford's better with the ball at his feet. I think Pickford's a bit better at sweeping as well. I think Leno's done really well for Fulham, to be fair. I've been really impressed with him. I wasn't that impressed with him at Arsenal, to be honest. I didn't think he was that good. At Fulham, he's been a lot better, and he was actually quite a good keeper at Leverkusen as well. He started
really well at Arsenal, then it kind of like went off the boil a little bit.
Yeah, his first season at Arsenal was all right, but I was never truly convinced by him at Arsenal. So I just think Pickford, for club and country, over the past 18 months has been brilliant, and I think he deserves recognition for that. And I think people, for some reason, keep calling for him to be dropped for England, but I think he's been very good for Everton over the past year. So I got no complaints about him.
Yeah, I can see why people are calling for him to be dropped, to be honest. I think England do have other better keepers. I even think Nick Pope's a better keeper than Jordan Pickford. And I think Aaron Ramsdale's also a better goalkeeper than Jordan, to be honest. And I would even say like Emi Martinez is a better goalkeeper than Jordan Pickford and Bernd Leno. So I wouldn't even get on the bench for me.
Wow.
In terms of a combined 11 for the outside of the top six.
I think you underrate him. You're one of the people who underrates him. You're the example is sitting right here next to me. Disrespect to Jordan Pickford, who's been very, very good for Everton. Look, there's a disagreement here. I think Pickford's a great keeper. I've been really impressed with him. And I don't know. We have to flip a coin, I guess.
We need to get a deciding factor. Maybe Sammy off screen can give us the deciding vote. Martinez isn't part of the vote.
Oh, God,
he's putting Martinez in his team.
Martinez.
Pickford or Leno?
Pickford.
There we
Oh,
go.
he's
Come
going
on,
for
it's
Jordan
coming home.
Pickford.
It's coming home. Jordan Pickford gets in the team.
All right. Jordan Pickford is the goalkeeper. We're going to go to left back, and I don't think we're going to have any disagreements here in Purvis Estepinian.
Yeah.
I think he's been absolutely brilliant since coming into the Premier League. His goal contributions speak for itself. He's one of the most dangerous left backs in the league, never mind outside the top six, just in the league in general. So
yeah,
I think Estepinian has to go in here, shoe in.
Yeah, he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Ever since he arrived at Brighton, so good defensively, so good going forward. He's a breath of fresh air on that left-hand side as well. Can't really see anyone really competing with him. Maybe Rico Henry, maybe Luca Dean, maybe Anthony Robinson of Fulham. They're all good left backs, but I think Estepinian is just a level above.
Yeah, I did have Rico Henry here on my special mentions, to be honest. But I think Estepinian has just been that much better than him over a longer course of time as well. So Estepinian gets in at left back. We go on to right back. And seeing as Trippier got into Team of the Year last year and was the best right back in the Premier League, is there anyone that you can say that's been better than Kieran Trippier?
No, he's brilliant. Has to be in there. No one really comes close. There's not really that many great right backs, especially outside the top six. You got Matty Cash. I mean, you've got Lamptey once upon a time.
Serge Aurier.
Aurier, of course, he gets up there. Serge Aurier.
He actually had a good season last year, Serge.
He was all right. I mean, he's nothing special.
Already 2 assists this year. He's got more assists than Trippier this season.
So, all right, so we're putting Aurier in there. Montiel was good for Argentina in the World Cup, but no one comes close to Trippier. It's just his amazing on-the-ball ability to put the ball on a sixpence, where not many other right backs, apart from maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold, have similar ability with the ball at his feet. He's really tightened up defensively as well. You've got to give him so much credit, because he used to be one of those right backs who was really great going forward, but was just a liability going the other way. But he's really changed that part of his game. So
the school of Simeone did it for him, didn't he?
Yeah, he's become a brilliant right back. I have to give him so much credit, and I wish Spurs still had him.
All right, so Estepinian left back, Trippier right back. Let's get on to the 2 centre backs. My first one I'm going to talk about on the left-hand side is Sven Botman of Newcastle. I think he's been absolutely brilliant since joining Newcastle. He's a player that was linked to many other clubs as well. Newcastle were the ones to take the plunge and bring him in. And I think they're reaping the benefits for it. I think he's their best defender, hands down. And I can't think of a better defender outside of the top 6 than him.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's really revolutionised Newcastle defence, and I think he was a big part of the reason why they had such a solid defence last season. He's big, he's strong, but he's not a slouch. He's not one of those defenders who is very easy to run in behind and beat in a foot race, even though he's not the quickest. But I think he's done a fantastic job, like not letting his weakness be exposed. Maybe some other defenders like Maguire or someone like that. Like he's so hard to play against, and he's really good with the ball at his feet as well. Very composed, really great in the air, really big danger from set pieces. I think he's been a brilliant signing for Newcastle, and yeah, they did really well to steal ahead of the competition to get him, because he was really highly sought after.
All right, so one more player left for the back four. And I've got a few special mentions. My special mention is Anderson of Crystal Palace, also West Ham's Gerd. But I've settled with Lewis Dunk of Brighton. I think he has been absolutely brilliant. He seems to be getting better as well, to be honest, under De Zerbi. I think his aerial ability and his defending is brilliant, to be honest. And I think I just edged him over these two.
I'm a big fan of Lewis Dunk. I think he's a really underrated defender, but I've actually gone for Agerd. I think Agerd is the better defender in my opinion. I think he's actually a bit quicker along the ground. I think on the ball, probably Lewis Dunk wins that. I think Lewis Dunk is a really good ball playing centre back, but I think defensively Agerd is much better. I think Agerd's still very good on the ball as well. You got to remember how important he was for Morocco in the World Cup as well. He was absolutely sensational in their run to the semi-finals. He was such a big part of their team that got to that run. And I think, to be fair, he's taken his time to bed in at West Ham, but since he's gotten regular playing time, I think he's been fantastic. I think he's been really good. I know he got sent off against Chelsea, but I think overall he's had whenever he's on the pitch for West Ham, he's actually been really, really solid, and I've been really, really impressed. Now he's being touted for potentially bigger moves next season in the transfer window, and it's no surprise for me because I think he's a touch of class ahead, and he's a defender who doesn't get much recognition, but I think he's performing at a really, really good level, and he's in my team.
Who's he been linked to?
Man City.
Really?
Yeah.
Man City?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's been linked to a few. He's been linked to a few top clubs.
I mean, if he does end up going to Man City, I mean, that probably kind of ruins my argument a little bit. I don't think Lewis Dunk is going to be going to Man City anytime soon. But I think for like what they've shown over the past couple of years, obviously Gerd's first season in the Premier League was last season.
Yeah.
You say like he took a while to get to grips with the stuff at West Ham. So I think like the sample size of what you're talking about of Gerd's like top play is not that big. Where Lewis Dunk, he's actually been doing it for a number of years now, 2-3 years. I would say maybe like the heights of what Gerd has done over the past couple of months. Maybe I'd prefer that than what Dunk has done. But I just think Dunk has been performing at a higher level for a much longer time as well. Obviously, it's a bit unfair because Gerd only came into the Premier League last year. But I think like it depends like what kind of team you want, to be honest. If you want your team like kind of playing out the back like Brighton do, like Spurs do, like Man City do, I think maybe Dunk might be the player for you. But I think maybe more of a low block with balls coming over the top. Maybe you want a Gerd more in your team, like the Morocco team or like the West Ham team are. So I guess it depends what you kind of want out of your team.
I actually think in terms of Lewis Dunk, again, this is coming from a fan of his, I actually don't think he's the best defender. I think his on the ball ability overshadows maybe some of his flaws defensively. I think a lot of the times when Brighton are getting caught out like on counter attacks and there's loads of space being left in behind, like I think he gets caught out in a lot of those cases, Lewis Dunk. And I actually don't think like defensively I don't think he's bad, but I just don't think he's fantastic at all. I don't think he's great. Whereas Agüero's like a really, really good defender, and I think on the ball I don't think he's bad either. I think he's composed on the ball as well, but he's not Dunk level in terms of Dunk's ability to spray passes, switches of play, really impressive, and he's got a decent free kick on him as well, Lewis Dunk. So I give him a lot of credit for that. I just think if I'm picking a defender for my team, I'd much rather Agüero than I would Lewis Dunk.
I just feel like as well like that Agüero has got a bit of a lapse of concentration in him from time to time, to be honest. And I don't know, it's a difficult one to choose between. I do think Anderson as well should be in the conversation. I think he's a top defender. And Guehi as well. To be honest, both of them should definitely be within the conversation. But if we're going to choose between Dunk and Agüero, I mean, we're not going to agree here. So, Sammy, you're up again.
He's going for Lewis Dunk again. It's because he hasn't heard of Agüero. That's why. He doesn't know who's this Agüero guy. That's what's going on here.
All right, so we got the defense sorted out. We've got a back four, including the goalkeeper, with Jordan Pickford in goal, Estepinian left back, Trippier right back, and Dunk and Botman as the centre backs. I think actually they would make quite a good pair, Dunk and Botman.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And let's move on to the midfield. Let's talk about the number 6. And I think there's only one player that should be going in this, and that is João Palhinha. Obviously, his move to Bayern Munich just didn't get done just in time. He was in the middle of his medical. He thought the deal was done. Alas, he's back at Fulham, and I think Fulham are very lucky to have a player of that quality. Absolute top player.
Yeah, and I think they're going to need him if they're going to stay up because he's so crucial in their midfield. I think he's phenomenal, so underrated in my opinion. I'm glad that he was getting a bit of recognition during the summer with Bayern looking to buy him because I think he's one of the best defensive mids in the league, even including the top 6. I think he's an absolute monster. I think with his tackle and interception numbers are always near the top of the league, exceptional. And I actually think he can play a lot as well. Really good with the ball at his feet, really good passer, steps up for the team when their chips are down as well for Fulham. I think he's part of the reason why Fulham did so well last season and finishing in mid-table, and I thought he was absolutely exemplary. In terms of like top number 6s around the rest of the Premier League, got like Bruno Guimaraes for Newcastle, who I don't think is the best top number 6 in my opinion. I think he's more of a number 8, but he's been playing a lot of number 6 for Newcastle, although he's a phenomenal player. I really like him, but I think if they start playing him number 8, that's where his best position is. But Edson Alvarez, Souček,
I don't think anyone comes close to Palhinha.
Cheek Doucouré is a really good, promising defensive mid. You've got Sangare now from Forest, but he hasn't played. not Amrabat, what's his name? Onana from Everton as well is good, but Paulinho is just another level. He's just an all-round player.
He's like 2 or 3 levels above those players that you've mentioned, in my opinion. I rate him so highly. I can't scream it enough, to be honest. And I think, like, as a Spurs fan, if we would have signed him for that number 6 position in the summer, we would have been, celebrating it till the cows come home, because I think he's such a top talent, and he'll be missed at Bayern Munich. And I think, like, if they would have got rid of Paulinho and Mitrovic in the same window, you're talking about probably even one of the favourites to go down.
Yeah, 100%.
So Paulinho gets in there quite easy. Let's talk about the other 2 midfielders now. The first one we're going to talk about for me is Lucas Paqueta of West Ham. I think, like, as well, he took a bit of time to get to grips with West Ham, but since joining them, since his turn of form, and since he's really been settled in the Premier League, I think he's been one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, and I think he's brilliant. He really links that defence and the attack really well, with the midfield and the attack really well, and I just feel like he's just growing and growing in stature in that West Ham team. And he was subject to a bid from Man City that fell through, and I think he would have fitted in well with Man City in terms of the quality. I think he sits in that sort of level.
Yeah, I think he's phenomenal. I think it was a bit of a decision for me between him and Bruno Guimaraes, who goes into the team, but I just sided with Paqueta. I think he has a bit more to his game, because I feel like he's a bit more creative on the ball than Bruno Guimaraes. I feel like with his ability, with his skills that he comes up with, he's like a box of tricks in that middle. I think
Brazilian,
that,
isn't he?
yeah, exactly. But so is Bruno. But I don't think Bruno really has that element to his game like Paqueta does. I think he has a lot of bite in his game as well. He's not one of these Brazilian flair players who, when the going gets tough, he goes hiding. He's really up for a battle. And then he's got so much quality. I think his passing's brilliant. You see him get loads of great assists. I think he's got a brilliant shot on him as well. I think he could get more goals. Maybe we'll see that this season. But I think he's a phenomenal talent. And I think he just shades it from Bruno Guimaraes, who I think has had a brilliant start to his career at Newcastle. And I think he's done really, really well. And I'm not talking down on him, but I just think Paqueta's more of the full package than Bruno Guimaraes.
I actually really rate Bruno Guimaraes, but I would actually say, from what they've both shown over the past year, I actually think it's a clear winner for Lucas Paqueta. I think the top levels that Paqueta has shown, I don't think Bruno has really come close to those just yet. And I think, like, Bruno is a top player in his own right, no 2 ways about that, but I just think Paqueta is a level above, to be honest.
I agree.
And then for the third midfielder, I'm going to go for Eberechi Eze. Obviously, he's an absolutely sensational talent. He started getting his recognition, getting called up to the England squads as well. He's central to literally everything Palace do going forward. Sometimes he's a bit of like a one-man band there as well, especially since Olise has been out injured and Zaha's gone. So I think the numbers as well last season kind of speak for themselves for Eberechi Eze, and I don't think there's anyone outside the top 6 that can even come close to him.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a travesty that we're talking about Eze at 26 years of age now, and I think yesterday was his 2nd cap for England or something. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous. This guy has supreme ability. He should be playing for a top 6 club. He should have been playing for a top 6 club a while ago. I think he's really taken his time, but I think right now for me he's one of the best creative attacking mids in the league. I think he has so much responsibility on his shoulders at Palace as well, creative burden, and he really shines and he thrives off that. And I just imagine if he had better players around him, which means he could be afforded more space, because I feel like he gets targeted a lot. When Palace come up, when teams come up against Palace, they try and mark him out the game, and they still can't handle him. A lot of these teams, even when they try and do that, he's so good. Dribbling ability, shooting, creatively passing, everything. He's got everything to his game, and I don't know why he hasn't moved to a bigger club just yet. And credit to Palace for keeping hold of him. In terms of other mentions, you got Morgan Gibbs-White, who's had a fantastic season for Forest, but I don't think he's on the level of Eze. And you've got Mohamed Kudus, but obviously he's very new to the league. We don't know enough about him yet in terms of how he's going to perform in the Premier League. But if he performs similar level than he does in the Dutch league, then we could be having this conversation in a year's time.
Yeah, I did have Kudus written down here for the special mentions, but you just can't put him in just yet, just because we just don't know how he's going to perform in a West Ham shirt. But I think Eze is an absolute clear winner for this position in the team. So that's a midfield three of Palhinha, Paqueta, and Eze. What a midfield that is.
Unbelievable midfield.
They would all complement each other really well, wouldn't they?
And the players were leaving out as well. Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes. Like, it shows the quality there is outside the top six.
Yeah. I mean, you look at like outside of the top six in any other league, you won't have anything close to this kind of quality.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the front line now. Let's go over to the left side of the attack. Kaoru Mitoma. Burst onto the scene, I think, at the last season, and he pretty much hasn't looked back. Creatively, one of the best players in the Premier League. The amount of assists he gets week in, week out, the goals he scores, dribbling ability is just absolutely brilliant. Is there a better dribbler in the league than Kaoru Mitoma? I don't think there is. And Brighton, with their recruitment structure and system, picked him out of the hat, and I thought they haven't looked back because he's absolutely sensational, one of the best players in the Premier League.
Yeah, phenomenal. What a phenomenal first season he's had at Brighton last season. Really burst onto the scene out of nowhere and just started absolutely smashing it from like January time. And he's so hard to deal with on that left-hand side. If you give him any sort of space, you just have to restrict the space when you face Mitoma. Otherwise, he's going to destroy your fullback, because he knows exactly how to turn and how to beat a man. He started to add end product as well. He's getting assists and he's getting goals. He's two-footed. He was getting really great finishes from outside the box as well at times last season. And he only really had been in the Brighton team for 6 months, but he showed so much quality that 6 months is hard to ignore. So I think he's really become the best left winger outside the top six in that time, and I've been so impressed. And I think he's only going to get better as well. So yeah, fantastic.
Any special mentions for you?
Not really. And there's Harvey Barnes, who's a good player. To be fair, he could have maybe got into the on the left hand side. There's not too many other options, to be honest, in terms of players who naturally play on the left. There's Leon Bailey can play on the left, but I think he's more naturally on the right. Ansu Fati obviously can play on the left, but only very new to the league as well. Not really too many other mentions outside the top six, so not too much quality on the left-hand side outside the top six teams, to be honest.
Yeah, any of those players you mentioned, I don't think come close to Kaoru Mitoma, to be honest. So Mitoma gets in on the left. On the right-hand side of the attack, there are actually quite a few players that we could pick from.
There's a lot of right wingers.
Yeah, you've got Jared Bowen. You've got Brian Mbeumo, but I think the player that we're going to go for is Michael Olise of Crystal Palace. 11 assists last year in the Premier League, which is equal to what Bukayo Saka did, which is unbelievable numbers from a team like Crystal Palace. I think he's got supreme ability. He was on the brink of joining Chelsea as well, and Man City as well were after him. It just shows you how much they value him and see what quality he has. He did end up signing a new contract at Crystal Palace. But I do feel over the next year or so, he will be getting a big move to probably Man City or Chelsea or someone like that.
Yeah, for me, I was conflicted between him, between Olise and Mbeumo and what's his name, Moussa Diaby from Aston Villa, because I think he's absolutely brilliant as well. But the reason I sided with Olise, I just think he has a bit more star quality when he's on the ball, when he has that ability, that dribbling ability, that fast feet, a bit of tricks. I actually think Diaby and Mbeumo better goal scorers. They do, and they are more focused on like being efficient in the final third than Olise. But Olise is like a bit younger than them, and I think he's adding that to his game. I think he's got a wand of a left foot. I think once he adds that efficiency to his game in the final third, like getting more goals, I think he's like far and away better than them. I think right now in general play, like Mbeumo and Diaby are players who are going to be more likely to make those runs inside the box and beyond the last defender and get in behind and score goals. And I think Olise has that ability to do that. But he's a player right now who likes the ball to feet a bit more, likes to take people on and use that left foot. But once he adds that other elements to the game, he's just going to be one of the... I think he'll probably be the best right winger in the league, honestly, if once he starts to add that. He's so good, Olise. I'm so impressed with him. And even now, while he doesn't have that, I still think in game he can kind of provide quality as much as in Mbeumo and Diaby as well, just in general play. So I've gone for Michael Olise as well. I love him.
Does Jared Bowen not get a mention from you?
I like Bowen. I actually think the others are better. I think Bowen is a really good clinical counter-attacking right winger, but I think the other guys are younger than him and they're probably just as good as him. So I think they're going to end up being better than Bowen, in my opinion.
But we're talking about like here and now to get in the team. Let's say if we're picking a team for tomorrow, I think Jared Bowen's numbers are absolutely brilliant. I think he started the season off really well. Obviously, last season was a bit of a poor season from him, but the season before that, I thought he was sensational. I don't think he gets into the team, but I think he's definitely worth a mention for sure.
Yeah, 100%. He's a really good right winger as well. I think 2 seasons ago, he really had a fantastic season. Last season, didn't have a great season, but he still scored in the final, didn't he? The winner. And he started on fire. I'm a big fan of Bowen, but I actually prefer the other 3.
And last but not least, let's look at the striker. There were 2 names, in my opinion, which could have gone equally to both. Ivan Toney is obviously one, which is going to be an obvious choice. But you've got Alexander Isak as well of Newcastle. I did side with Isak just slightly. I think like the trickery you get from with him, the direct play, the pace. I mean, I think he's just a sensational striker. I really do. I mean, Ivan Toney's numbers speak for him. 20 goals in the Premier League last season is nothing to be sniffed at. But I just think you get a bit more variation in the play that when you get Isak on the pitch. Although I do think it's just a minuscule difference here because I think they're both at a similar level.
You have Ollie Watkins as well.
Ollie Watkins
I think deserves a really good shout because he's in great goal scoring form. But I feel like
not scored a goal this season.
I feel like he's more of a Ollie Watkins is great, and I feel like he, in general play, he provides a lot for the team in terms of bringing other players into play. But if I was to choose a striker, I think I chose Isak as well. I think his ability on the ball is second to none. His dribbling ability is so quick, and he's still getting a good number of goals, but I can still see that he needs to tighten up his finishing even more. And if he's getting a similar amount of goals to Toney and Watkins, when I'm seeing his finishing not being the best, imagine when he's a bit older, because he's still fairly young. He's 23. He's the youngest.
He's not really getting similar numbers though, is he?
He's the youngest of the 3. Is he not?
I mean, Toney got 20 goals last season.
Yeah, but Isak was injured for a lot of it, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
I think goals to minutes was probably quite good.
Similar?
Probably, I would say. How many goals? Because he got what? How many goals last season? He scored. He scored how many? He's got two goals in 4 seasons this season. Last season,
he's got 10 goals last season.
He got 12 in 31 games last season. So
that's all competitions.
Yeah, 10 in 22. So it's 1 in 2 still. Really, so it's really good. So I think that for me, once he gets his finishing to like a better level, that comes with a bit of age and time. I think he's absolutely world class, Isak. I think he's absolutely brilliant. His pace is amazing. His dribbling is amazing. Toney's a bit more of a target man. He's got a bit more strength about him. I think Toney is a better passer, but I think Isak probably has more strings to his bow than Ivan Toney. And I think when Isak is Toney's age, he'll be getting more than 20 goals, in my opinion.
You know, I was actually thinking about this the other day. I think Ollie Watkins would be absolutely brilliant for Spurs. I think if we could sign him as the number 9, I know this isn't the Spurs video, but I brought it in there anyway. I think Ollie Watkins, he's got like that kind of positional play, the aerial ability, the link-up play. I think he's got everything that we were looking for in a number 9.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I like Ollie Watkins as well. I think he could also be a player playing for a bigger team as well. Also really good in the air, very good aerial ability, scores a lot of headers. I think he runs in behind a lot. He's always a threat. He's strong. He's fast. His finishing is good. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's good. He's a good finisher. He gets a good amount of goals. So I feel like he's one of those strikers who needs like a few chances to score though, a few times. I don't think he's that clinical. I think Toney's a bit more clinical. Isak is getting there, but he's not quite there yet. Another striker we didn't mention, Evan Ferguson. 18 years of age, unbelievable prospect. I would say right now, still just maybe lagging behind, but he's not even that far behind, and he's 18, which is incredible to think about.
I think if we do this in a year's time, Evan Ferguson could well easily be in the team. That's how good he is. Yeah. I mean, I rate him. I think Evan Ferguson is literally like one of the future stars of the Premier League, literally, and in world football as well. I mean, Ireland have got such a talented player on their hands in Evan Ferguson. I can't sing his praises enough. I mean, for 18 to score hat-tricks in the Premier League and his goals to minutes ratio is just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, 18 as well. It's at that age, it's crazy. And one other, I guess, mention would be Awoniyi, who's in unbelievable form at the moment. But
you know what? His minutes to goals ratio as well is absolutely sensational. And I said to you a few weeks ago, like, what do you reckon about Awoniyi, about the Spurs number 9? And I would actually consider him.
Yeah, he's a great target, man. I still think he's a bit of a one-trick pony in terms of like he uses his brute strength. But then again, if he's that strong, why not? Why not use what your biggest strengths are? And I think he's in fine form for Forest. I have a feeling though it's a bit of a streak rather than something that's going to go on for the rest of the season.
But you know what? It was last season as well. Like he was out of the team quite a bit last season. But if you actually just take the stat of goals per minutes, I mean, last season his goals per minutes were brilliant as well.
I think he's got a goal contribution each of his last 8 games, so he's in fine form.
Yeah, he definitely is. But look, that is the team that we're going for. So it's Jordan Pickford in goal, left back Purvis Estupiñán, right back Kieran Trippier, Lewis Dunk and Sven Botman as the centre-backs, Palhinha, Eze and Paquetá in the middle of the park with Mitoma Olise supporting Alexander Isak. It's a great team. It really is.
Where's that finish in the Premier League?
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. I mean, where does it finish in the Premier League? I think it's definitely a top 6 team.
I think it might be a top 4 team. I don't know if it wins the league. I think City are better than that.
Yeah.
But I actually
City
think...
are better than that. You think it finishes second? Is it better than Arsenal and Liverpool?
I think it finishes 4th.
4th. After Arsenal and Liverpool. Above Spurs.
Yeah. I think it's better than our team.
Above Man U.
I think that's better than Man United's team as well.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that, to be honest. That midfield is just a monstrous midfield. Yeah. I think the 2 centre-backs as well complement each other really well. You've got the best right-back in the Premier League from last year, one of the best left-backs in the Premier League this year. You've got Mitoma, probably the best dribbler in the league. Isak and Olise as well. I mean, you know what? I think it even could push the top 3.
Potentially. I just think they're lacking potentially goals up front, whether they'll get enough goals. And I think as well, I look at that centre-back partnership and I'm like, it's good, but is it as good as some of the centre-backs?
Look, if we could say 3? Ivan Toney on the bench to come on
not bad.
20 minutes as a
I think that midfield might be the best in the league though, potentially.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because you look at Palhinha, there's only one better number 6 than him in the league probably, which is Rodri. I mean, would you say that... there's a better number 6 in the league apart from
Basuma and Rice.
Yeah, do you think they're better than Palhinha?
I think...
Not much in it if there is.
Not much in it. I think defensively he's probably the best. Yeah. But I think on the ball, Rice and Basuma have things over him.
And then Eze would get into any of those teams. And Paquetá as well. Man City wanted Paquetá.
Yeah, unbelievable player.
So... there you have it. But let us know in the comment section below what you think of this combined 11. Who would you add? Who would you take in? Let us know in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for joining us today and we'll see you next time.